I'm so sorry. You can hear my dishwasher. I don't know what's going on. I'm concerned. Hey guys, so today I'm starting a series where I watch the most popular movies that everybody and their mom has seen but me. I am so out of the loop when it comes to movies. Anything from Harry Potter to Star Wars, you name it, I have not seen it. I think this will be really good for my social life because in a lot of social settings, people are like, oh, you know that one movie that everybody in the world has seen but Olivia? And they're like, yeah, let's talk about it in depth. And I'm like, right. So the first movie I'm gonna be doing a recap slash review of is Twilight. Now, I have seen parts of this franchise on TV. They used to air it all the time when I was in high school, but I never like sat through a full movie until like 2 days ago, so. So the movie starts out in Phoenix. Bella, the main character, is living with her mom, and then she soon moves with her dad to a place called Forks, Washington. Interesting town name. Her dad is like the chief of police, and automatically you know like they're not super close. But then when she moves, she meets this guy named Jacob. We all know Jacob, right? Her dad gives her like a homecoming present of a car, and Jacob, he like rebuilds the whole engine for her, and this girl does not like him. Bella goes to school at Forks High School, and literally every single guy that she meets is into her. Like, she accidentally nails a guy named Mike in the face with a volleyball, and he's like, oh, like, that's cool. Like, you could do it again if you want. And she meets this girl named Jessica, who's sort of her friend, and she's kind of jealous of all the attention she's getting from Mike. So she goes to lunch and sits with Jessica and another girl named Angela, and the Cullens walk in. And the Cullens are like these foster kids that moved from Alaska, but really they're just vampires. They all live together and they're dating each other, which is kind of weird, even though they're not actually related. And then Edward Cullens walks in. So it turns out I don't know Edward's last name. Throughout the entire video, I call him Edward Cullens. I call his family the Cullenses. It's Cullen, no S. I know that now, but you're gonna have to watch the whole video of me mispronouncing his last name. Okay, enjoy. And then Edward Cullens walks in, and Jessica's like, girl, don't waste your time. Like, no one's good enough for him. And Bella's like, yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it. And then she's like, breaking her neck to look at him. I mean, I would do the same. I get it. And then Edward turns and they're having like the most intense staring contest. Then Bella walks into class and there's Edward. And this man is like restraining himself because he's like so drawn to the smell of her blood for some reason. I mean, man's a vampire, but he's really drawn to her. And this man's like, and Bella's like, do I smell bad? Like, my girl Bella is just trying to pay attention to class and Edward's like, I don't know how he kept a straight face. Like, the actors did an incredible job. Edward's trying to get away from this girl. Like, he's asking to switch classes. They tell him no, so he just like doesn't go to school for 2 days. During the 2 days that he's gone, we find out a security guard has been killed by some animal, but it's really just a vampire. Then Edward comes back to school and he talks to Bella and he's being very pushy. He's like, so what about your family? Your mom? Is she remarried? Do you hate him? It's like, bro, you just met her. Like, you looked like you were gonna strangle her and now you're like deep in her personal life. And then she asks him a normal question because his eyes like completely changed colors from the last time she saw him to now. And she's like, did you get contacts? Like, your eyes completely changed colors. This man is like, no, it's the fluorescence. Like, bro, just say that you got colored contacts. That would have been so much more believable. So Bella's leaving school, she's walking to her car and Edward's staring at her like always, and then a car pops up and it literally almost hits Bella, and right when it's about to, Edward's like makes it in time to stop the car with his hand and save her. And then they have another staring contest and then Edward just leaves with no explanation. So naturally Bella's like, how did you do that? You were all the way across the parking lot. How did you make it to me in time? And this man starts gaslighting her. He's like, no, I was standing right next to you. Like, you hit your head, like, you're confused. Like, sir, she is not dumb. The school year goes on and Edward is always around her. And then he's like, oh, but we shouldn't be friends. And Bella's like, you are the most bipolar person I've ever met in my life. Bella invites Edward to the beach. He, of course, declines, but she runs into Jacob there. Jacob basically tells her the lore about the Cullenses, how they descended from like an enemy clan, and his great-grandfather like found them on their land, and they made a treaty like they had to stay off their land, and they wouldn't expose who they really were. So Bella goes home and like researches this and finds a book in Port Angeles where she can read all about Edward's people. So around this time, another guy is killed killed by vampires. His name is like Waylon Forge, and you find out that these are not the Cullens as killing these people. These are like bad vampires that we don't know yet. So one day, Angela and Jessica want to go prom dress shopping, and Bella tags along because it's in the Port Angeles area where the bookstore is. As she's leaving the bookstore, these guys pop up and are like surrounding her. Edward shows up out of nowhere and growls at these guys and like almost hits them with his car to scare them off. Honestly, he's so boyfriend for that. That's such boyfriend behavior. So her and Edward get dinner together, except he doesn't actually eat because he's a vampire. And Bella finds out that Edward can read minds, and he can actually read everybody's mind but hers, and it's like driving him crazy. Bella goes home, reads the book she found at the bookstore, and realizes that Edward is a vampire. The next day at school, Bella walks past him and he follows her into the woods, and she's like, I know you're a vampire. Edward is trying everything to scare her off. He's like, I'm designed to kill. Like, I've killed people before. And she's like, I don't care. Edward tells her how his family is a little different than other vampires because they only hunt animals. They don't want to hunt people. But he said like it was so hard to restrain himself when he first met her because her scent is like a drug to him. And then he calls her his own personal brand of heroin. Was that in the book? What a line. She tells him she's not afraid of him, but she's more afraid of losing him. And then he's like, you don't know how long I've waited on you. And then they have a sweet moment where they stare at each other in the grass. So again, you know, what else would they be doing? We find out Edward's been a vampire for like 104 years. He was dying of like the Spanish influenza when Carlisle bit him enough to become a vampire, but not enough to kill him because his mom was like begging him to save his life. Then later on we see that like Jacob and Edward have some kind of feud going on. We don't really know what it is, but the feud's like still going on. Jacob still has feelings for her. She's more like, hey man, you're my friend, like I'm in love with a vampire, sorry. Then Bella goes to meet Edward's family. It's like a little bit of a weird dynamic, but they're all trying to be nice except for Rosalie. She's a little bit of a hater. They go to Edward's room and she's like, why don't you have a bed? And he's like, girl, I don't sleep. I don't sleep, I don't eat. And then they're having like a sweet moment, and then he just like grabs her and jumps out the window. This is why I love Edward. You know what I mean? Like, he is so random. Oh, another one of my favorite lines. He goes, you better hold on tight, spider monkey. It's like moments like this where I think this is why Twilight is like called cringy. It's just like the weirdest lines just placed in the most random spots. I don't understand it, but I love it. No, this next part freaked me out. Bella's like in the room with her mom having like a conversation, and Edward shows up and she's like, bro, how did you get in here? He's like, oh, I come in here all the time and I watch you sleep. Like, did I give you permission to do that? No. For some reason, she's not bothered by that. I don't think I'd be into that. I don't, you know what I mean? So they have their first kiss and Edward jumps back so he won't unalive her. Another day, Edward and Bella go to play baseball with his family, and this is where stuff gets real. The bad vampires who've been killing these people hear them and they like appear. They smell Bella's blood because she's the only one there not a vampire. The Cullens family defends Bella, and so the bad vampires like back off, but the main guy of the group, James, is like after Bella. He loves the chase. Edward takes Bella to his house where they're like planning to kill James. As they're at Edward's house, Laurent, a part of like the bad vampires, shows up and he's like, I've grown tired of James's games, like he's a bad guy. Like, watch out, he's super deadly. So we respect him. We appreciate his arc. Bella goes to hide out at a hotel with Alice, who's Edward's adoptive sister, and her partner, Jasper. As they're hiding out, Bella gets a call from her mom and she's super frantic, and then the phone cuts out to James, the bad guy, and he's like, I have your mom held captive. You can only get her if you show up to a ballet studio. So Bella's going to risk her life just so her mom is saved. So Bella goes to the ballet studio alone and finds out that he didn't actually have her mom and he was just trapping her. James goes after her, and then Edward, out of nowhere, comes in to save Bella. But during the fight, James somehow bites Bella and she starts to turn into a vampire. We find out that Edward has to suck the venom like out of her blood enough to keep her human, but enough not to kill her, and it's like really hard for vampires to like stop that process. But Edward saves her and she's human again. Bella ends up in a hospital and they end up telling her mom that she fell down flights of stairs and like through a window. And Edward's like, you need to go back to Jacksonville where your mom is living to get away from me so I can't hurt you, and she refuses. Edward and Bella end up going to prom together, but as they're there, Jacob appears. Poor Jacob. I mean, this guy is just doesn't have a chance, but he does later because I saw what happens in the other movies, so we'll just have to wait for that. Jacob tells her, you need to break up with Edward. My dad told me to tell you, but I'm also like, was it your dad? Was it your dad? Edward and Bella go to prom for like 2 minutes. They're like, let's leave. They start dancing outside, And Bella's like, I want to be a vampire so I can be with you forever. And Edward's like, isn't just having a long, happy life with me enough? She's like, for now. And then, aw, such a cute, happy ending. Nothing scary anymore, right? Well, no. So Victoria's like looking at them from a distance. Victoria's the last bad guy left. There were 3 of them. You know, the one was killed by the Collinses. The other one stopped being bad, and she's left, and she's like ready for revenge. And that's the end of the movie. Overall, I did enjoy this movie. Like, it was really entertaining. I laughed so hard. I don't know if it was supposed to be funny. Like, I don't know if the point is to be like a little bit cringy, but I was dying laughing. Edward kills me. Like, his lines are hilarious. The actors did a great job of keeping a straight face. Like, they did an amazing job staying in character. Edward was a believable vampire. I really, really, really love Edward. My favorite characters in this movie are really basic, but I'm gonna explain why. Bella's my favorite character because she is so relatable. She is so me. Bad at sports, awkward, very much me. Falls for unpredictable men, also me. She's also a fighter, which nobody talks about. Like, when she found out that her mom was being held captive, she was immediately ready to sacrifice herself for her. And she stayed with Edward even after knowing that he could kill her at any moment. I also love Edward, if you can't tell. I don't, you know. He is so iconic in this movie. He's always randomly jumping into frame. He randomly jumps on Bella's car. He's also a little bit creepy, but he's fine, so I'll allow it. He has his flaws, but like, I appreciate his character arc because he starts out like really distant and cold, but once like Bella really knows who he is, he's really able to be himself. He has strong morals. Like, he knows that he could hunt humans, but he decides not to. He only wants to hunt animals, even though he's never like fully satisfied. He's extremely protective of Bella. I mean, this man, anytime she's in danger, he's like, "Poof!" and he like jumps into frame. So I'm team Edward, if you can't tell. I think he's proved himself. But I also love Jacob. Jacob, he is like the perfect guy, but he's just not toxic enough. When you're in high school, you know what I mean? You don't want someone that's too nice. You want a little bit of toxic when you're a teen. That's just how it is. But he's very caring, he's very friendly. I would be his best friend in real life. Overall, I would rank this movie for like the romance fantasy genre for young adults. I'd rank it like a 7 out of 10. I know some parts are cringy, but like, I love rom-coms. I love cringy movies, so it's right up my alley. It was kind of eerie though. Like, when the movie ended, I was half expecting to see a vampire outside my window, so I just didn't really look. I think that might just be a me problem. I don't think anybody else struggles with that. I would definitely watch this movie again, especially in the fall time. Like, I could see myself rewatching this movie and it becoming a comfort movie for me. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you guys have any more movies that are super popular, comment them below because I probably haven't seen them and I'll review them for you guys. All right, bye guys. Ow, I haven't moved. Oh, I have not moved the whole video and I think my hips gave out. So I'll just be here. I'll just be here.